Welcome, everybody, to the Minions of the Zoo Tuesday edition. I'm your keeper, Skep Tock, and with me I have Minion Serenity Star.
Hello.
And Prospero.
Hello.
Soon to be joined by the Hairy Channel. How are you doing this evening, my friends?
You first, Serenity.
I'm all good.
You are? You didn't
Yeah.
blow away or anything?
No, it's been calm here today. It's actually been nice. The humidity's been low. We're good.
Yeah, did you have much in the way of storms? Because they just kind of
No.
fell
just kept-
to shit over, they were predicting bad storms and they happened north of us and south of us.
Yeah, literally, for the last 4 days, they kept predicting thunderstorms and rain, and it's like it rained for less than 30 seconds and then was done.
Yeah,
and I wanted rain, so I didn't have to go water anything, you jerks. Come on.
We had a cloudy, kind of grizzly morning, and then it cleared up a little bit. I kept waiting, and I had the headache telling me that a front was coming through. Not the headache, but the kind of pressure behind the eye. And then nothing happened. This little broadcast of Mid-Atlantic weather brought to you by the Minions.
It's the Virginia and West Virginia weather.
Yeah.
Yep.
All the Virginia,
Right, Howie.
all the Virginia you ever
Welcome to
wanted to
Hairy
hear about.
That's
Howdy.
it. But yeah, it's just I'm fine. There's the answer. How are you, Harry?
I've worked 25 hours in the last 2 days.
No, that's not right.
You're an idiot.
Those are amateur numbers. I know. Skep's like, when I was on watch in the Navy, you'd stay awake for 36 hours. And
Well, now hang on.
once got married and
Am
divorced
I
and
obnoxious about that?
didn't even know I did it. It just happened when I thought I was awake. So,
We pulled into a long
No.
city, and I was married to 3 ladies all at once.
mhm.
Yeah, no.
And a mule was the ring bearer. Oh, no, a burro. A burro.
What I was going to say is, if you just learn to triple charge your customers, if you drop this silly need to be honest, and go with the billing scheme that I suggest, that I used when I was a consultant, and you can do
Well, there should
1,000 hours of work in a weekend, no problem.
Well, there
Yeah.
ought to be actually an annoyance bonus. Like
Harry had that.
after X number of emails, I'm charging you per email. And you just say, okay, from now on, you're being charged a resubmission fee, just like you have to do with certain building plans or things like that. You screw stuff up enough, you pay a penalty. Well, since you're not listening to me, you will pay a resubmission fee of $200 for every email you send me after this, because I've already told you what to do and you won't bloody do it.
Yeah.
And that might stop. The only problem is it'll stop them from contacting you when the building's burning to the ground, because they'll be afraid of being charged. You'll get that perverse, well, I didn't think it was bad enough. What? You didn't think malware was bad enough to let me know about? Fee waived for malware, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I know I told you about the time I was on like a mini vacation and I was going to be away. So I rented a satellite phone.
Oh, God.
And they charge you to use it, but they charge the people who call you way more.
Good.
So it's like so many dollars a minute that it works out to several $100s an hour for them to call you, which is perfect. And they had like a problem with an employee who kind of went nuts, started having these weird fantasies about finding a USB key that maybe Chinese spies had left on the ground to try to trick him. The guy kind of went off his nut a little bit. And I ended up charging them double because I was off. So I charged them double and they paid that. They ended up God, I think I worked it out. It was like a $700 phone call for them. So clearly there's no amount of money you can charge really that will guarantee that they will leave you alone. Because you never know. The people who work for other people don't think of money the same way. They kind of think of money almost like they work for the government. It's only self-employed people that would work on.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, people who actually think of it as their money, not the company's money.
Well, then you bill the CEO.
Sure, why
Well,
not?
You just send him a little itemized statement on all these resubmissions from the stupid people that work for you.
If you just take my approach and the gentleman in the picture there and just say, ask me if I ran check this one more time, motherfucker.
How about you? How about you? You IPL the LMU yourself, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, I can just hear you now to a certain group of clients going, English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
No, actually, the people I've been working for, the guy I'm working with is a personal friend of mine, as well as a customer. So I don't get to just take a giant dump all over one of my actual personal friends.
That's the problem when they're personal friends. You can't fire them. And I bet you've had to fire customers, haven't you, Harry?
Not very often. There was this one guy that I fired. I mean, there's this one guy I fired who his name was Aziz, but around the office we called him Disease. And he was wanting to have some work done, but he had a company that he was involved with that had some visa holders who were here from India. And so he wanted to know if I would work with his slave labor that he was basically holding hostage with their visas to get a cheaper price. And I just told him, no, you can just fuck right off.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've not just not renewed, but just outright fired a customer.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was a huge piece of shit.
Yeah, that is gigantic.
With cause.
Yeah. You know,
yeah.
You no, Mr. Aziz, you can have your session with the Karma Police by yourself.
Well, he was trying to start another business on the side, and he had his day job as he was a executive at some company in the Valley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he was going to use people from his day job and exploit them to do development work for his personal company that he was starting on the side.
Oh.
That it really is the Christian way.
Yeah. Like I said, disease.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. What a nasty piece of work. That's somebody that you report to INS.
I thought about it. I just wanted to be done with him as quickly as possible.
I can understand that. Also, not wanting to get involved with INS yourself because you probably just have to deal with bureaucratic idiots.
Well, also reputation.
Hilrick and Bradsby.
Well, the reputation in the Valley is a big thing, and everybody kind of knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So getting tied up in some sort of scandal like that, even if I was in the right, you're going to get some of it on you.
Oh, God, yeah.
You don't want to. Yeah.
Ew.
And it was early enough in my career that I just said, no.
Yeah.
Not going to do it.
Good
just
for
let
you.
this guy. I figured that he would just destroy himself pretty quickly.
Yeah.
With those kinds of habits that I didn't really need to do anything. The problem was just going to take care of itself.
I was going to ask, how long did the guy last?
Don't know. I got the hell away from him.
Yeah.
Because I'm not... I know this is a thing that girls seem to do a lot more often. I'm sorry, women. Is sort of cyberstalk people. When I'm done with somebody, I don't take time to cyberstalk them usually.
No, you were right. Girls do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, girls.
The rest of us just block them and walk away.
I mean, it's not all women who do it, but most people who do it are women. I think it's... Yeah.
No, I've blocked a few girls because I know what they were like, and I'm just like, I know now that this friendship has gone sideways, I know what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna block your ass.
Good.
Goodbye.
You know, you and Prospero could do your own stream, just the two of you, and just title it The Virginians.
Maybe we could pay for the music, too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Country Road.
You know what it would devolve into? Dumb bitches we have known. We would never run out of material, but it just... Well, let me tell you about 8th grade.
And we'd have to get Sora on because she's the furthest west. So we get West Virginia, and Virginia. This we cover them all.
Yeah. That absolutely. And our Canadian cousin is here.
She's from the western part of Canada.
Well, actually, all she'd have to do is find a place to broadcast from Richmond, BC.
There you go.
Hmm.
We just cover all of it.
That's it.
Who is the farthest west minion? Don't we have somebody living in Perth?
Yes.
When does it stop being west
That's
and start
far.
being east?
Far lives in Perth.
Yeah.
Perth. But that's not west. That's on the other side of the international date line.
Well,
That's
what
what I
about
was
the
gonna say,
foot?
The footy?
The foot.
No, he's not on the other side of the international date line. He is on the other side also.
Hmm.
He's in
I
Tomorrowland.
meant west of here.
Oh, well, yeah. Yes, then that would be far. But it would also depend on when you wanted to pick up counting again.
Yep. Again, relative to what?
Where I was going was a misdesigned joke
Mm-hmm.
that
we
ends
killed
up
that.
being that the person who lives way west is far away.
Mhm.
That's where I was going with it. And then I abandoned it and I just decided to let you guys discuss it.
Yes. That's why we know that
Which
it's
I think
far that lives in Perth.
See, she's far away. So
Yes.
it's like using the word in two ways.
Yes. But you ran into the Spurg wall.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw the spur.
Spurg and pedantry.
Spur warning
Yes.
signs, and I
Yeah.
turned back.
It's just like you got 3 people on there like, but the international date line.
What the fuck, man?
Jesus.
Actually,
Well, at least
Put
we
your
know our
glasses up.
goddamn geography.
Just put your glasses up. Actually.
for a bunch of Americans, we do geography fairly well.
Actually, the international date line does not run down the meridian, but I know you guys know that.
Yes, yeah, it's
It's jiggy.
it's pretty
It's
jiggy.
jiggy. It gets jiggy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, Australia is a figment of W.R. Costin's imagination. He had to say that in chat.
Well, there's another Canadian.
In
What if
upside down land.
What if Canada's a figment of our imagination?
I mean, I think a lot of people want Trudeau to be a figment of their imagination.
Oh my God!
Unfortunately, I've been to Canada. I can verify that it does exist.
I know.
So have I. I went to Toronto once, never again.
You went to a place you thought was Canada. Can you prove that was Canada?
It was all an
Yeah, 'cause
elaborate ruse.
Because I got stuck at the border because my last name doesn't match my mother's, so they thought she was stealing me.
Oh, great.
I mean, what if I'm not really living my life, but this is just an elaborate candid camera skit?
Hey man, wouldn't be the first time this got with the internet. It's all an illusion.
It's a pity we don't have any weed, Skep. It's just that's conversation. That's
Yeah.
You gotta be high.
It's better
Best-
better when you're high.
yeah. It's a lot of late night dorm room conversations. What if it's just all
What if
What-
it's just all in a jar on someone's shelf, man?
Yeah.
Well, there's two things. People say, well, how do you know you're not a brain in a jar? And the answer is you don't know that.
Yeah, you don't know.
But that still sort of assumes that beyond the jar there is some sort of universe. So the question is, how many degrees of separation do you have from whatever passes for reality?
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
So even if you are a brain in a jar, you're still a brain in a jar in a universe.
Yep.
So, yeah, whatever.
Cue Eric Idle, for God's sake. It's time for the universe song.
It was probably one of the better things about Futurama is that they took famous people and just made them heads in jars.
Yes.
So
Yep.
they had Nixon and Jimmy
Nixon,
Carter and
yeah.
a bunch of other people.
I love that. Nixon's
That's great.
head in the jar. Yeah, that was. There were decent moments in that show.
Yeah, actually, it was pretty
Futurama.
sad. Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead, Harry.
Well, I was going to say that I didn't watch it religiously, but there was this one episode where they basically reveal the fact that Fry had this dog
Oh,
was
that
waiting
one.
for him to come back. I'm like, that genuinely made me tear up. You know, the dog
Yeah, that
basically
was-
waited for him to come back and he never did.
That's
Aw.
probably one
Yeah.
of the most famous and most loved Futurama episodes. Like that entire thing, because like the entire thing's a freaking journey, and it's amazing and
Yeah,
sad and just
That shoe in Roger Rabbit that gets dipped in paint thinner, that thing can just, I mean, yeah, I guess in theory it's sad, but it's not like a dog waiting till it dies for its owner sad. It's just a
Yeah.
stupid shoe. Again, girls.
Yeah.
Oh no, it had
Oh.
so much life in front of it. Poor shoe.
I watched that movie when I was a kid. Like I was sad the shoe had to die, but I wasn't that sad.
Yeah. Well, it's because you're well adjusted compared to some of these people.
It wasn't like Old Yeller, you know.
Did you ever
Think about
okay,
behind the shoe.
I remember in high school there was a class I was in and we watched the movie version of Animal Farm. And there was this one girl in the class who was just kind of useless. I mean, there was just very, very useless. And she just kept getting upset and crying and making noises and stuff. And the teacher just absolutely lost it and just unloaded on her.
Oh,
Which I know
no.
is like totally wrong.
Aw.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
But-
it's-
But yeah, it was just like
Why was she
everybody
making
else was
noises?
coping. Well, because some cartoon animals were hurt during the making of this film.
Yeah. No,
And
I've
she
seen,
couldn't cope with it.
I've
Yeah.
seen the live action, or not the live action, but I've seen the movie version of Animal Farm, and there's some scenes in that thing that are a little disturbing. But the book was disturbing, so
Well, it's dystopian. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
disturbing.
I know. I read the book.
Yeah.
I've seen the movie. I'm one of the few people like in my age group who's actually read the book.
Well, you remember from Animal Farm, this is the way my brain works. Animal Farm, Babe, James Cromwell. Recently, I guess he's decided to go vegan stupid.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he
him,
super glued
yeah.
his hand to the counter at a Starbucks recently to
I saw
protest
that,
dairy
yeah.
foods.
Like baby
Dude.
porno.
I expect more from Zephyr Cochrane than that.
Not to mention the fact that in a lot of cases, most of the stuff that they use to make their juices, that's what they are. They are not milks, they are juices, is more detrimental to the environment than just giving the cow the food we can't eat.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean they're not? It's not milk. It's juices.
Like it's not juice. It's not milk.
So you go to Starbucks and they don't give you actual cow milk in your coffee?
Well, I get it, but I'm talking about the stuff he wants. The stuff he
Oh
wants is
yeah.
the nut-
Yeah.
the nut juice.
Well,
That's what it
the
is.
fact that you make it in a nut milk sack, it just
Yeah.
sounds
Blah.
bad.
yes.
Yeah, I want nothing to do with that.
Nuh-uh.
Although I have had almond
Put
milk,
that out there right now.
and it is quite good.
The problem is like I'm allergic to lecithin. It messes me up real bad, and that's what's in most of those milks, air quotes. So I can't drink most of them, and I refuse to drink pea milk just by the name.
The notion of milk coming from almonds is utterly ridiculous.
Well, the thing is, in recipes, it goes back to medieval times, almond milk. So it's actually a thing.
No.
Thank you. Yes, it does. Because I've seen recipes where they have almond milk stuff in it. They would make almond milk the day of.
Actually, the pea protein stuff is fairly tasty as long as you don't expect it to taste like milk.
Well,
But
see,
oat
almond
milk is fine and almond
almond
milk
milk
is fine.
tastes enough like milk without the phlegm.
Yeah, I just refuse to eat.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah, I know.
Just give me some horchata. Take some rice, make it up into a thing, throw some sugar, some cinnamon, some spices in there. Horchata's good.
Yeah, now that I agree with. Yeah.
I don't want the sweeter stuff though.
Yeah.
You drink
That's
sweet
fair.
tea.
No, I don't.
Oh, I thought you did.
No.
Okay, who's the one who's giving me a hard time about sweet
out of
tea then? I don't know
town.
that many Southerners.
I mean, I might have done it on principle.
Yeah. Like, I drink sweet tea, but I don't think I've ever given you crap about it. Because I know it's not for everybody.
Exactly. Well, I drank it growing up.
Yeah.
And then I realized it's like, excuse me, you're putting like a full cup of sugar in one of those Tupperware pitchers which I guess is like 2 quarts.
Yes.
Oh God! And I just said, no, I don't need this. Had to have a little chat with my grandmother about that. But that's how you make tea. No, stop it.
We make sweet tea. That's all that matters.
Yeah, there is a difference.
I'm drinking iced tea right now, and it has no sugar in it at all,
Yes,
or
'cause it's
lemon.
sweet.
I like lemon in mine.
Yeah.
That's okay.
The more lemon, the better, actually.
Are we not allowed to have lemon in tea?
You can have lemon in tea. I'm just saying I'm kind of a purist. I just drink good tea with nothing.
No, you're just very, very dull, Harry, basically.
I am very dull.
So to be pure,
mayonnaise is a flavor.
To be pure, you can't have lemon, right?
Yeah.
If you're pure.
Yes.
Actually, lemon in tea is fine. I just don't really like it.
Oh, good. More for Skep and me.
Yeah.
No, I'm a big lemon and sugar in tea drinker, and I like herbal teas too. That's another thing I run afoul of with the tea aficionados is, I like, bubblegum tea. It's what I like to drink.
Yeah, well, that's a great big wide world out there with lots of choices for people, and that's the way we like it.
But when I want a caffeine hit, though, then I got to have the real thing.
Yeah, I mean, I have used to great effect. Well, it might have also been the scotch I'd pour in it. Back in the day, sleepy time tea. When I was sick. Well, there's something about
for breakfast anymore.
There's something about cam. I never put scotch in it in the morning. I promise. But if I was sick and having to still work in retail, you don't get days off when you manage. They don't care. You better be dead.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way I could get sleep after working a late night was sleepy time with a little bump, and it would work. The chamomile and the scotch together would be like night.
Throw a Benadryl in there and you really get the job done.
No, throw a Benadryl in there and I'd have had an allergic reaction. I break out in super hives if I take Benadryl.
So you're one of those. You have a paradoxical reaction.
Yes, I do.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking horrible, actually. My entire damn body was a hive, and I was trying to treat hives by taking the Benadryl.
Joke's on you, I guess.
Oh, wasn't it, though? I mean, Korea had to take me to one of those little dock-in-the-box emergency centers because, I mean, my vision narrowed. I was shaking like a leaf, and I was just one giant welt. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
What do you take for an antihistamine?
Cetrizine.
Oh, really?
Zyrtec. Yeah, it works like a dream.
Yeah.
I just take the generic.
Yeah, you could take loratadine too. You could take Claritin.
I've taken Claritin, but when I saw the allergist about my just the hives I get for no good reason other than overactive mast cells with a vicious sense of humor. I don't, knock wood, it has been a while since I've had a flare up, but the cetrizine is what he recommended. And I actually take one a day and have ever since. I'm afraid to stop taking it.
Do you know about Zysal? Do you know that there's it's a derivative of cetrizine. It's called levocetrizine. And it's supposedly faster acting. It's supposed to be as fast acting as Benadryl, which is, it's the knock on all these things. They don't work as well as Benadryl. I just want you to know about it. It's called Zysal. If you want
it's pretty good.
Go to work a little faster.
Yeah, I keep the cetrizine in my system because I take one a day and have now for years. Just as a ward against flare-ups.
If it works, it works. God, being allergic to something like Benadryl, that is really unusual.
Yeah,
and
it was.
There's something in the back of my mind about there is a common for people who are allergic to Benadryl. I read this like 40 years ago, and it's some physical characteristic that is notably present. I can't remember what it is, but there, and it might be something like has blonde hair. I mean, it might be something to that effect. I think it is light complected people have a substantially higher problem with being allergic to Benadryl. We had become we sold Visceral. We had become Benadryl experts. We didn't know what the competition was like. You know, we were selling, you know, something that was 50 times the antihistamine that Benadryl was, and was 20 times as sedating. So that was the mountain we had to climb. And,
yeah, a friend of mine's son, Benadryl had a paradoxical effect on him because it usually makes children sleepy.
you get the rash.
Oh, no, he was crawling on the ceiling. He was so hyper.
Oh, you got the adrenergic stimulation.
Yeah. So that was not quite my problem. Although if I had to compare the lightheadedness and the narrowing of vision and to anything, it would be whatever it is in the suspension of epinephrine. For dental application, there's something in the suspending formula.
Oh my God, there are lots of things in those.
Yes, but there's something to that I react quite poorly to, as in skipped heartbeats, then pounding heart, the whole can't.
Some people seem to just have a sensitivity to having foreign compounds in their body.
Yeah, no,
that's a theory of allergy that I have, that some people are just more sensitive to things than others.
But those are the only two things that trigger me. The I don't have any allergies. I'm not allergic to a damn thing, at least from the poke jab test. So it's just ill-tempered mast cells.
Those tests are 100% effective in uncovering.
Oh, I understand that I could have, I mean, they weren't going down to the atomic level, but as far as
some bored nurse making, pinpricks in somebody's back.
No, it was actually the doctor that did it, believe it or not.
Oh, this must have been back in the day.
It was about
usually get a PA or a nurse practitioner these days.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he sat down and he has, well, I've got bad news for you. He said, you basically are just going to have hives once in a while. He said, you have overreactive mast cells. He said, and they're doing lots of interesting mast cell research, but he said they don't care about your hives because they're doing it for skin cancer. And I said, yeah, I can get that. I'm not too upset about. Now, I have heard mast cells mentioned recently, interestingly enough, in regard to adverse reactions to something we're not supposed to talk about anymore, which is the jab. For both long COVID and for adverse reactions, that there may be mast cell involvement.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Mast cells, is there anything that you can't ruin?
I know. It's apparently good times. Dr. Campbell did a rather lengthy interview with somebody who had suffered an injury from the jab. And it was a very, very interesting interview with this young man about the plight he had with his array of symptoms and that kind of thing. So any of our listeners are interested, just check out Dr. John Campbell's channel. You'll see the interview. It's quite abundantly clear which
everyone should check out his channel. It's a great channel.
Yeah, they should, because the party of science is the party of what science. So very often, and Dr. Campbell, it's only been more recently that he has done more commentary on the powers that be and how they have been reacting to information. But generally speaking, he's quite apolitical. It's just certain things can't help but capture his attention, so to speak.
You know, yeah, it's
statistical things, you know.
I was going to say something and I decided I better not say that.
Yeah, it's
I hate having to censor myself like that.
I do too, because I don't know how liberal they've gotten. They've gotten more liberal.
You have to be careful though, talking about, you know, the Poke.
Yes, you absolutely do.
You have to use Jeremy Hambley type terminology.
Yes, when you receive the quill from that porcupine, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's maddening. It's maddening, especially when you're trying to discern actual information, statistical data, and that kind of thing, from just the well of bullshit that has been pushed out there on all sides. I'm by no means have governments
got a monopoly on it. Yeah.
Oh no, I mean I have run into a lot of I hate to use the term deniers, but people who are playing very, very dangerous games with the information they're spreading around. And
they're just doing it to be edgelords. They're just, in most cases, they don't really believe that stuff. And they probably don't even, they're probably hypocritical, probably don't even do that for themselves.
There are a fair few accounts, though, that, particularly on Twitter, that are just full of wrong-headed analysis, shall we say, that people have become, and understandably so incredibly mistrustful of authority figures of any kind, that they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And it's harmful, just as they do on the other side, in regard to, let's say, puberty blockers.
Yeah.
You know, they're ignoring things that we know that can be rather harmful about use of puberty blockers in young children.
No, you just take a little time out from biology, and it gives you time to think about whether the doctor assigned you the wrong gender at birth.
Yes.
That's just science.
Or what weight they assigned you. And as we see from this is a swimsuit model in the latest Sports Illustrated. That's part of her shoot. The Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
Well, it's not Clementine.
He looks hungry.
Yes.
She doesn't look bad as the cover girl did. The cover girl, they screwed her with that bathing suit. That bathing suit was not meant to be worn by anybody but a size 0.
She has a nice face.
I'm
sure she's a lovely human being, but
this girl,
very nice personality.
This girl is what I would have called for years Zoftig.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
More than, in any form of grotesque obesity.
Zoftig.
You know what? Rubenesque.
Yeah.
Rubens liked them obese. I mean, those women in Rubens' paintings, they had a BMI of 40.
Yeah, well,
she's got a BMI of 40. I guarantee she's got a BMI of 40.
Some of them are manatees.
But she looks proportional. She doesn't look.
This girl does not look anywhere near as bad as some of these mukbang chicks.
Yeah, like she's not to me she doesn't even look close to being bad. She's maybe. I mean, she's bigger. I'm not denying that, and I'm not saying that she doesn't need to be careful about her weight, but I've seen athletic girls who are only a little bit not less stockier than her. Like it's
particularly in the legs. I mean,
the legs for sure.
I just had a thought. You know, how far away are we from plus size models going down the runway on mobility scooters?
I think there has been one. I think there has been one in all seriousness.
Oh,
Walking's hard.
Yeah, that's when plus size started, I remember very clearly it was designed for the Zoftig, not the morbidly obese. So it was somebody just has a large frame and is well padded on that large frame. So they're wearing a 16 or an 18, not a 12 or a 14. And that was, of course, before they vanity sized things. Marilyn Monroe was a size 14. 12 maybe on a generous day.
That in the old days of 14.
Yeah, the old days of 14.
A true 14, yes.
A true 14. And by the beauty standards that came into play in the 70s and 80s and 90s, she would have been considered far, far too fat.
Well, I think I'm going to have to try to find it, but I think someone said that her, not height-wise, but actual like body proportion-wise, like her and Cindy Crawford were closer in proportional size than these girls who were like, Marilyn Monroe was a size 14, not our size 14, darling. Not even close.
Not the new 14.
Yeah, not even close. Not Lane Bryant 14. No. Not even
But Marilyn was not a small woman.
No, she wasn't.
And she was soft. She was quite fleshy.
Yeah.
One might even say doughy.
Yeah.
But because she had gazongas, ditto Sophia Loren, she didn't need to be waif-like.
Mm-hmm.
After Twiggy, the waif thing just really took off. And I never understood that because to me, Twiggy looked emaciated.
Twiggy looked like a prepubescent boy.
Yes, so did Mia Farrow, so much so that when Frank Sinatra married her,
Yeah.
Ava Gardner said, I knew that he would end up in bed with a boy.
Yeah.
Ava's just salty because, well, never mind.
Well, Ava was a potty mouth too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they made it farther than oh crud, what's her name? Dang it. She was in one of Woody Allen's movies. She's obsessed with him. She wore the vest and the hat.
Diane Keaton.
Diane Lane.
Diane Keaton.
Yeah.
Diane Keaton. Yeah.
Yeah, she's in love with him, and it's pathetic because it's like, no, honey, you were too old. The first movie you did with him, he will never touch you. She is obsessed. But yeah, no, I understand everyone's attracted to different body types. I get it. I just never I'm kind of with Prospero. I never understood the fascination with Twiggy because it just looks like even with the haircut, if it wasn't for the makeup, she would just look like a prepubescent boy. And it's like,
it was just because it was different. It was just because it was different, and there was a new kind of clothing coming out.
Yeah.
I remember I study a lot of sort of mid-century history, but this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse. But there was a fashion house that was sort of down market but very trendy in the UK during that time. Was it, I forget, BB or Beba or something. Anyway,
Bebe?
And so. No, not quite that, but I can't remember the name. Biba, I think, is what it was. But anyway, it was there was a different style of fashion, and the regular models, didn't look quite right in that kind of stuff because they were really targeting the clothing toward the disposable income of younger women, who might be built more like Twiggy.
Well, I want to say that I think that was when the beginning, because it hadn't gone full mod yet. It was still like the counterculture kind of thing. I think that's what started to go mainstream when she got popular. And that was the body type, if I remember right. But yeah, no, that's about that kind of time period.
Well, she sort of filled in the gap between sort of the traditional models that Skep is thinking of in his head right now, and sort of the early supermodels, which then gave way to sort of the Kate Moss types, and I don't even know what the hell is going on now. It's all just bizarre.
Well, Calvin Klein is very trendy now.
And all these really weird ad campaigns for some of these youth-oriented clothing lines.
Well, it's like no one in Gen Z or even like the later end of millennials really wears Calvin Klein. So it's
I'm thinking of American Apparel. Yeah.
Well, I mean, American Apparel, people just wear it because it's cheap. That's the other reason why. But I know with Calvin Klein, like Calvin Klein hasn't been popular since the 90s. Not really. His high-end couture stuff is nice, but it's not that nice. But like, yeah, no one talks about being in my Calvins anymore.
No,
it's
and that was an edgy ad. Nothing comes between me and my Calvins. Yeah, that was a very edgy ad when it came out.
But yeah, the brand isn't as popular as it once was. I think, if I remember right, I read an article that they're hanging on by a thread because of literally because of their fragrance line. Their fragrance line is still really popular, and it's what's making most of the money for them. That could have changed, obviously, but that was the last time I read anything about them was that kind of stuff.
Could be their undergarment line is doing okay. I don't know.
It's one of those. It does okay, but it does. This is not the Marky Mark era.
Yeah,
it doesn't have the same pull, especially when you have like if Victoria's Secret still had power, like Calvin Klein would still be up there with them. But there's no one really wants big name brand underwear anymore. Not like they used to. Not like it was in the 90s. It's not. Whoa!
Shit, that was me knocking the phone off the table. Sorry about that.
I was like, who fell?
Doing your Johnny Depp impersonation, I guess.
Yeah, that was exactly.
Everybody had their hopes up. Skep finally keeled over.
We'd hear dog barking before we'd hear anything else. It was just the dogs in their minds.
Interesting thing, actually, Calvin Klein. I just looked up the thing. They've got a deal with Cody. That that does a fragrance as a fragrance licensee. Anyway, they generate most of $2 billion in sales every year from that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Like their Calvin Klein colognes and perfumes are really good. Like they're really nice. But that's like the only thing that's really good from them anymore. Like none of their other stuff is anything really.
I haven't thought about Calvin Klein since those who's that that actress, she was in Blue Lagoon.
Brooke Shields.
Brooke Shields,
yeah, used to do Calvin Klein commercials.
Yeah, the nothing comes between me and my Calvins.
Was that
yeah,
that was
her.
I couldn't remember if that was her campaign or not.
Yeah, that was
I feel like she was barely 18 when she started doing those.
I was going to say, I wonder how they got that past her mother.
She did a nude scene when she was like 12.
Her mom was the problem.
Or was her mother the marketing director?
That was right.
Yeah.
That was not long before she divorced her mother.
Yeah.
Because she headed off to Princeton.
I didn't know that happened. She emancipated herself.
Oh yeah, she got the fuck away from that woman.
Yeah,
she could.
Yeah.
She really did. Did she actually do an emancipation?
No, she did. She didn't have to. She was 18. She basically what she did is she ruptured the contract.
Yeah, because like she has. It's very well known for the exploitation of children because she did a nude scene when she was 12 or 14.
Yeah.
And it was her mother basically, it was the director and her mother because the director was like, hey, and her mother was like, sure. So it's a very, I've seen the movie. Whenever the movie comes on again, thank God there's censors because I don't want to, because it's meant to be awkward.
Are you talking about Pretty Baby?
I think that was the movie.
That was the one that she acted in when she was 12.
Yeah, I think it was Pretty Baby.
And
like,
she
it
was
isn't-
underage when she did Blue Lagoon too.
She was 14 when she did Blue Lagoon and 15 when she did Zeffirelli's Endless Love.
It was just a lot of that's just
Franco Zeffirelli.
creepy stuff. Just like, okay, no, don't want to see. Nope, because no one thought to get a body double. God forbid.
Franco Zeffirelli did that really pretty Romeo and Juliet.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen that.
From
I love that movie.
1969. Yeah, naked butt. Yeah, he liked
A side boob too.
He liked naked young people. Olivia Hussey.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
I remember that because we got to watch that in my high school English class, and all the boys lost their minds when the side boob came on.
yeah, and all the women in my 6th grade class when we went to see it in the theater when it came out lost their shit over the naked Romeo butt.
So it was a fair trade-off. The girls in my class, we all lost our mind about the naked boy butt. The guys lost their mind about the side boob. It was a fair trade.
Yeah, his naked bottom. It's like woohoo.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just trying to keep you guys calm down. That's what the Ilhan Omar picture is for.
Thank you.
I'm not even looking.
Oh God, yeah, that's actually a phony picture. That's a
Ooh, nice.
a Photoshop.
God, I hope
Okay.
so.
Well, how about this? Is this a phony?
It's a pretty
picture?
good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
They still
Look
look
at that! Look at that
Yeah.
derpy looking kid.
Hey,
He's not Dutch.
He looks like the grown-up version of the Caro kid.
And he grew up to stick his finger in a dike.
Giggity.
The places we could go, but we won't.
Yeah.
Dutch.
You remember this
flavored
though, Skep?
Oh, with Mighty Atom, absolutely.
Yeah,
With
the Mighty
Reddy
Atom
Kilowatt.
starring Reddy Kilowatt.
Gary Kilowatt, man. He was the safety guy for was that PG&E?
I don't remember if
That-
it was
where he
PG&E
got-
or
where did-
Westinghouse or who the hell it was.
Where did I'll tell you in a minute.
Ready Kilowatt.
Yeah. I'm gonna charge your electric car. Yeah, good times.
Ready Kilowatt made his first public appearance on March 14th. Get ready for this. 1926. In an advertisement in the Birmingham News for the Alabama Power Company. The character was the brainchild of the company's 40-year-old commercial manager, Ashton B. Collins, Sr. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And according to corporate lore, Collins found his inspiration in a dramatic Alabama lightning storm. As he watched the electric discharges strike the ground, he imagined the dancing limbs of a powerful creature, one that could be harnessed in the service of the public. Yeah, shit that never happened. He turned to a colleague.
Then his 4-year-old sent him an email.
And they clapped. And he turned to a colleague, APC, Alabama Power Company engineer Dan Clinton, to create the first drawings of Ready Kilowatt, an electrical servant, with lightning bolt arms and legs, wearing safety gloves and shoes. He added a friendly face with a light bulb nose and wall outlets for ears, and APC copyrighted the character on March 6th, 1926. Interesting. I did not know that had an Alabama origin. And
No.
that's kind of an interesting thing. If you want to see what the original Ready Kilowatt looked like, you can actually see it right. This Chrome tab right there, and share. And that was the original Ready Kilowatt.
That's a thing of nightmares.
Yeah,
That does look like it was inspired by a Gulf Coast thunderstorm.
it certainly has a lot of lightning bolts on it.
Someone was taking LSD.
Well, having an electric house used to be it was a good thing, because before that you'd have Union Carbide come by and they would bring you just this solid material that when you would drip water on it, it would give off gas. And that was something they would deliver to the houses, and then the gas lights were in the houses. That's how you would illuminate things. once we sort of move past candles. So moving from the liquid the solid that when it gets wet gives off acetylene gas to electricity
Yes.
was a big step up in safety.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You
Yeah.
know, the other thing is electricity. When you're building skyscrapers, electricity is a little easier to pump.
Yeah. Just a little.
Yeah. So I have another one for you. So I know you
Please.
like old things. What
Yes,
do you
I
think of this advertisement?
That's right. Begins with the dictation. Sorry.
That's right. Men like you to look good on the job. Many a romance begins with dictation, and sometimes even this happens. I don't think they could get away with this ad today.
Jesus.
No.
No, but don't you know some people you'd like to send this to?
Matt Lauer.
I'm calling HR right now.
Yeah, Matt Lauer with his little rape room, his little rape office.
Brought to you by NBC.
Man.
But as you've pointed out, it is actually hard to tell if some of them are fake or not. Like this one, I'm not entirely sure about this one. Do you tell yourself you smoke too much? Psychologists say every time you deny yourself a cigarette when you want one, you jolt your nerves. Now you can smoke all you want.
You know, yeah, if you change one word in that, change the word cigarette to say murder,
Mm-hmm.
and change smoke to kill. You know, that's basically just saying anytime you want to do something, obey your whim. You know, for the sake of the health of your nervous system, for God's sake, give in to everything. No.
But this self-denial is unnecessary now. You can smoke all you like if you smoke the new Miracle Mint Julep cigarettes. Symptoms of over-smoking disappear. No dark brown taste, no more burned-out throat, no tobacco-tainted breath. It's a triple smoking miracle.
It's a Newport. And yes, that is what I used to smoke. I had at one time. I'm going to talk a little bit out of school here. At one time, when I was about 10 years sober, I just happened to have 3 sponsees, and all 3 of them were black. And they all I forgot what the point of that was. The
Newports.
Oh yeah, and they pointed out the fact that, and all 4 of us smoked, and they said, "Can you believe it's the white man smoking a Newport?" They all thought that was hilarious that I smoked Newports. They thought that was the funniest thing ever, because evidently black people smoking Newports is a thing.
That hence the banning of menthol cigarettes.
I guess.
Yeah, that's supposedly because it disproportionately are consumed by African American.
Yeah. I think you either have to ban cigarettes or not ban some cigarettes.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
Well, they want to get rid of the menthol because menthol has additional problems to regular tobacco.
But in terms of having the big one where it causes emphysema and cancer, right?
Right. It
And heart
doesn't have.
disease.
No, it doesn't have any.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's this is pandering.
Yeah,
It's
exactly what it
race pandering, and it's kind of grotesque.
Yeah.
You won't quit on your own, therefore we're going to ban it for your good. And you won't just switch to another brand of cigarette.
I would be curious to hear you guys' opinion about this. I suspect that what happens with us is we get a hold of something like guns, and we say, all right, we've got to ban guns. You know, Australia's doing this, right? We've got to take away your guns. And you have Beto O'Rourke going around for, the better part of 4 or 5 months saying, yeah, I'm going to take your gun. Yeah, I'm going to take your gun. Yeah, we're and guns are hot. And so that everybody gets worried that, your guns are going to be taken away. And then somehow the public just moves on. And then suddenly we're talking about, whatever the next thing is. And we get all upset and worried about that. But in point of fact, in most of these social, in the cases of most of these issues of these social questions, nothing permanent ever happens.
No. We're just kind of careening from one
Careen is the right word. That's exactly the right word. I think
moral panic to another.
I agree.
And it's so it's like they're lightning fast. I mean, on Twitter they appear to get legs. But those legs last for a week or two. The bodies are buried and everybody forgets how outraged they were because something else happened. Somebody called somebody a name, or Dave Chappelle did another special, or, I mean, something occurs for the righteous to sharpen their pitchforks and turn on their virtue signals and hop in the virtue mobile and it's really very juvenile. It's reminds me of rumor mills in junior high school, whenever some story would say, there'd be this flash in a pan of everybody's for 3 or 4 days. And then it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Because people get bored of it and they're looking for the affirmation hit. It's that serotonin and dopamine wheel that people are on.
Yep.
And, oh, you're a good person. Look at all the likes I got for saying we should do this, And it brings out just the very best, she says sarcastically. In people where you have I'm a hunter and I know the only reason AR-15s is to hunt people, and it's like, that is the most absurd thing I have ever heard in my life, that a low power carbine is designed to hunt people. May I introduce you to an actual weapon of war, you jackass? But it's Eric Swalwell yesterday. The living meme that is Eric Swalwell. Literally, this dipstick put out a tweet about his 4-year-old FaceTiming him about Buffalo.
What?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't.
I didn't hear about this.
Oh, you missed it.
Wait, was Swalwell?
This was. Oh yes, dear. I am going to
I'll have it up here and just
send you the link to his tweet if you want. But
all right, Eric Swalwell on Twitter.
There he is.
Blah. There you
Got
go.
him. Boom. Side chat.
it's glorious. This is absolutely spectacular work. And I'll tell you why it's so spectacular. This tweet got some of the best responses I've ever read. I laughed so hard reading all the takes that people had on this tweet. It was just remarkable. And he actually replied to himself with the, I love the no 4-year-old would ask this takes. You're in absolute denial if you think our kids aren't watching the horrors. But over and over and over again, people were like, I know my 7-year-old just FaceTimed me and asked, since the shooter already showed red flags on social media, why didn't the FBI investigate him? I'm gutted as well. Seth Dillon, who is with the Babylon Bee.
Mm-hmm.
His reply was, my 3-year-old just emailed me and asked me why I bought him a toy gun that mimics its deadly counterpart. He told me our family was normalizing violence. He attached a video of himself tossing it in the trash. Heart-wrenching. It's time to ban toy guns too. Blair White. My 4-year-old non-binary triple amputee transracial child just FaceTimed me and told me you're fucking annoying. And Viva Fry just hit him up. This also one of your stories, Swalwell, and it's the whole glorious thing about
someone did actually make a comment that I actually liked, which was, did he FaceTime you about Waukesha? Nope, can't be using that.
But Allie Beth Stuckey, who is a host of Relatable, she's a writer. Her comment was, my newborn, upon exiting the womb, looked up at me with her barely open eyes and asked why politicians feel the need to create fictional stories about their offspring to make bad points. But it's all I had said about it was, and everybody clapped. My God, would you please save your fantasies for Fang Fang?
Yeah.
Don't share them with the rest of us. It's if you don't think that, and it was what it was is it was some message from his wife saying he wants to know if you're going to do something about this. Because he had to show the screen.
Yeah,
He had to show the screen grab. But it's like your 4-year-old wasn't doing the FaceTiming. You couldn't even be truthful about that. You could have said, my wife contacted me and said the 4-year-old saw this on the news and is very upset. And we all would have thought, yeah, that could happen. But no, he had to do the actual meme. I don't know. I think he and Kinzinger and Schiff are in a race to the bottom of what California can scrape together to shove in a sack and send to Washington. I mean, it's like they're the street sweepings of San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
It's a weird.
It's a very weird. It's just.
It's weird. It's weird that people like Eric Swalwell are even in office, or Ilhan Omar, or
Rashida Tlaib, or
yeah.
Well, I mean, given her district, it's kind of understandable. Ditto Ilhan, because identity politics is everything.
Well, yeah.
But how a grade A dope like AOC could get elected is just beyond me.
Well, I know you remember what Nancy Pelosi said, that district would have elected a glass of water with a D next to it.
Oh, they made sure she ran in a district that was reflective.
She's a proof of concept, I think.
Yeah.
And here's what's happening.
And by the same token, I'm going to put Marjorie Taylor Greene in that same category. I'm sorry. I don't quite understand how the hell that woman got elected.
I was going to say that something that seems to be happening is that politicians have become so for sale that they got bought.
Yeah.
And now what happens is the power devolves from the politician, whatever power they have, to the people, to their owners. The politician just becomes a font to transmit the desires of his owners. Joe Biden is owned by China. So he's, largely, everything he does, he has to, be thinking, the first thing he thinks about is that, will this piss off my friends in China? And that's true with any politician, whoever owns them. There was one of the refreshing things about Donald Trump, and it's one of the most disappointing things about him too, was that I had high hopes because he didn't seem to be owned. It turned out he was owned by himself, and that turned out to be, not a very good. It did not provide me the direction that I was looking for. That's all I'll say about that.
We never got the surcease of sorrow that we were hoping for.
Well, yeah, I wanted to see some, real progress made on certain things that I thought could be made by a politician who was not specifically owned by either big labor or big pharma or whoever, owns the other players. And he didn't get it done. I'm sorry, but he just didn't. And he had plenty of time. He squandered an opportunity, in my opinion. But notwithstanding anything else, what's happening is that these good time Charlies who we see on TV, making all these speeches and then doing whatever the hell they want, they end up saying, okay, how do we perform our job? Our new job is to obey our masters who own us, and yet still make nice enough with the public so that we'll continue to be electable. You just have to be electable. You don't even have to be the best person or anything, but you can't do anything that makes you ineligible for office.
And they still can't manage to do that.
Well, it's an interesting change, because what happens is it takes away the political guidance that should be available from someone you trust with a position like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you trust to elect to a position like that, you have a right to expect them to be good at things, good at certain things, and to reasonable. You can be in a position where you can reasonably expect them to make progress on the problems facing the country. Now, what it is, these people are they're like straw men, they're like stick figures, and the only real meaningful policy direction that they react to, and the only thing that they really care about, are their financial sponsors. They can give a shit about the people they represent.
Yeah, that's abundantly clear. Hope they all injure themselves on that Peloton equipment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was a hyperbole. I don't wish harm on anyone. I remember I thought it was a little overly simplistic when they said congressmen should wear uniforms like NASCAR drivers, showing their sponsors. And I thought that's silly, because not every one of them is a made man, but most of them are.
Most of them are. I think they should wear uniforms with targets on them. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure Target gives enough money to some of them that they would
Absolutely.
be happy to. They could be a little
more,
walking.
Working at Target would be more honest work than Joe Biden has ever done
in his life. Yeah,
in his life,
in his misbegotten life. I do think it is about time that we just have them wear labels of their major campaign contributors, because and as much as the legal ruling on Citizens United is not flawed in regards to speech.
Mm-hmm.
but it did pretty much make every politician throw the door open and yell, "Open to be bought." That's been the downside. That now they were already corrupt, but now they feel more entitled to that corruption through Citizens United. But corporations are made up of people, and corporate speech should not be treated any differently than speech. It's because there are single entity corporations. People have this very weird thing about corporations. They assume that every incorporated business, and they do this all the time when they talk about the tax code, is made up of giants like ExxonMobil or Microsoft or something like that. And they're not. There is many a corporation with fewer than 50 employees. Many a corporation with over 100, but they come. There are some corporations that are one person. So when you use blanket language like we need corporate taxes to be X, Y, or Z, or corporate speech is wrong, corporate political speech is wrong, well, that's bullshit.
Harry?
Yes.
When you look at that picture, do you start
Excuse
running
me.
through? Do you start running through the definitions and the equations?
It's been a long time since I had to deal with that much trigonometry.
Yep.
I just look at it and go, okay, great, we're moving along an ellipse. Thanks, fun.
All right.
And then I'm happy that I don't have to do that. I would definitely have to break out the books to keep up with that.
Yeah,
because it's really been a long time.
Yeah,
but this is what orbital mechanics looks like.
Yep. Yep, it does. Golly. Anyway, don't want to turn this into the math stream, but I just I love that picture.
I love that picture too.
150 extra engineers. An IBM electronic calculator speeds through thousands of intricate computations so quickly that on many complex problems, it's like having 150 extra engineers. No longer must valuable engineering personnel, now in critical shortage as ever, spend priceless creative time at routine repetitive figuring. Thousands of IBM electronic business machines vital to our nation's defense are at work for science, industry, and the armed forces in laboratories, factories, and offices, helping meet urgent demands for greater production and living for the American way. International business machines.
So what do all the people have in common in this image?
They all seem to be looking at a slide roll.
Yeah.
That is one thing.
And they all are grimacing.
Well, all of them have proper haircuts. There is a few of them that have rakish mustaches. That's one of the things. So they're all basically clean cut, pasty white men.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're all wearing. The implication is that they're all wearing like shirt and tie.
Well, that's the IBM colors that guy's wearing right there, the white and blue. I know you know this, Harry. The white shirts are still required, or at least they were last time I checked at IBM.
Yeah, that's some subtle advertising, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, come work at IBM where you won't be one of many. You'll be special. No, grain of sand on the beach, baby.
Yeah, damn straight. No, I knew you'd like that first image.
I do. Yeah, I did.
That's about as cheerful looking as a Soviet apartment complex.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But carry on. My job is to
difference.
keep you cheered up while we talk about the demise of civilization.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Man.
Harry. He's here for the bread and circuses.
Yeah.
People don't realize what the mainframe environment was like back in the particularly the late 60s and all through the 70s, really until the rise of both the mini computers and PCs, microprocessors. That there were people who basically got paid to put on a suit, take a ferrite box with an 8-inch floppy disk inside to some customer, insert it in there, and then run a program that was already on the mainframe or was on a tape that he brought with him that they read in, and that's all they did. Then they would eject the 8-inch thing and say, okay, that'll be $20,000. That was the consulting call.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of that. IBM made a lot of money doing not very much work for a long time. It caught up with them too, I think. I think they held. I would argue that IBM held back the development of the personal computer industry more than it helped it.
I think the thing. Well, okay. Well, hold on.
Let's
back up.
By introducing the IBM PC.
Well,
that's how they retarded it.
So the space race, Apollo, brought us semiconductors. Right. If it hadn't been for Apollo, it probably would have taken another decade for them to come along, for us to get the microcomputer. Now, in terms of IBM slowing things down, you really didn't have a whole lot of power in 6502s and 8088s and things like that. It was still pretty primitive days. I'm not sure I'm willing to lay the blame on IBM for that. It wasn't a terrible design for its time, but it really was kind of a mistake. I guess in a sense, things would have gone a lot better if they'd gone with like the Z80 and some other group like Digital Research, but not run by a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, when they bypassed the Zilog chip, that was bullshit.
It would have been a lot easier for a lot of people to get started because it's just a much easier chip to work with.
It's a much easier chip to work with, and there were a lot of people who already knew Z80 assembler, and were familiar with the platform. I don't know, but that's really what it was that the by attaching its name to what ended up being, in my opinion, a fairly mediocre entry into the system. And I was actually a dealer in PCs at the time this was happening. So I was, I may have a jaundiced point of view because I was trying to sell K-Pros against IBM PCs, but it was very frustrating to see people making buying decisions on far less capable machines, spending much more money because it had IBM on the outside. It just happened time after time, Harry.
Well, that was job safety or job security.
Yeah. Nobody ever got fired. Yeah, I know.
For buying blue.
Yep.
No,
I'm bitter. At least I've got that to hang on to in my old age.
Well, I mean, they were involved in a lot of pioneering stuff. Like back in the day, it's like, oh, we can make this little subassembly with this tube. They were adding real value there because your option was, what, a Sperry?
What would Microsoft have done without IBM?
Well,
they would have gone with Digital Research.
Yeah. But what about the operating system, the DOS?
You could always
basically
steal one.
From,
you could always steal an operating system from IBM.
Yes.
That didn't happen. That totally didn't happen.
That's kind of where I was going.
But luckily, DOS didn't have to do very much.
No, this was, golly, this was, God, you know, when I see those text only screens like that, Harry, I just remember my brief little descent into Z80 assembly programming.
Mm-hmm.
That just brings back the memories. It really, truly does.
Yeah.
Uncompiling operating system kernels and
There's young
maximizing
Skep.
TPA. Yeah, that's probably what I looked like.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it was before I had the eye surgery, so I would have been wearing glasses, but I didn't wear dork glasses like that. I had better glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Dork. Yeah, well.
Well, anyway, yeah, I find the history of sort of mid-century American history to be interesting, whether it's computers or food or.
As do I, Harry. It was an amazing time. It was the reward for winning World War II, both economic and sociological. What happened in this country was absolutely amazing. And, you know, from my part, I would go back and, you know, have it, you know, I liked 1962 just fine. Thanks very much.
It was
I could go back and live in
it was a bit nerve-wracking for adults, but 60s weren't too bad to be a kid.
Plymouth was making that magnificent Belvedere station wagon.
The Russians were putting missiles in Cuba.
The 80s weren't so bad.
Yeah.
I don't remember them.
The people in the 80s weren't as... They were more annoying to me.
Things got annoying. You're right. Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. There were some things that happened in the 80s where things started to get annoying, and we were set up for the annoying 90s.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had a notepad that said, no condo, no MBA, no BMW. Because that was just such the trope of the successful hotshot in the 80s. I mean, they were just slinging MBAs from trees at people, you would have thought.
Well, no, actually, back then you actually still had to earn it. You
You
had to do real work to get one. He says the 1985 graduate of MBA. But I know it may sound self-serving, but seriously, there are places you can just go and attend a couple of management seminars.
Yeah,
you've got an MBA.
Yeah, and they were thick on the ground.
Yeah,
a lot of drinking at lunchtime.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that in the 60s too, dear.
Yeah, well, the high-flying parts, basically things went to crap during the energy crunch of the 70s. And then after that, a small number of people went on to make just kind of an obscene amount of money. And this is part of the thing with digital research not getting that deal. As the tale is told, they couldn't be bothered to meet with Bill Gates and his team about the operating system for the PC because they were too busy flying around in their private planes, having a good time. And
digital research story.
Digital research had, I guess we could call it a vibrant party culture.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I know this because when I was growing up, I would live next door to one of the engineers from Digital Research, and
you didn't live in Pacific Grove, did you?
No, but the number of people who would of these just amazingly good-looking women with very long legs that would just go through the revolving door in and out of this guy's house was kind of impressive. I mean, as a young boy, I thought it was fairly impressive. But they partied all the time, and that's part of why they lost the contract, because good old IBM, you know what? When you talk about money and you want to have a meeting, they'll happily show up and take your money.
Absolutely.
They're very good at that, as opposed to Digital Research, who won't show up.
Well,
who didn't show up.
Actually, IBM, yeah, and I know you know the story, but IBM actually came for the guy who ran Digital Research and asked him to, talk money, for an operating system. And like Harry said, he was too busy having fun with his airplane to talk to people who could have taken him to not just the next level, but the next level and the next level after that of rich. And
yeah, but that cocaine was good at the time.
yeah, evidently.
You know,
Yep.
I mean, you look at a lot of the business sector in New York, and they were whacked most of the time.
Oh, the financial sector.
Yeah, that's just financial sector. The
But
banking,
God.
the
Same with
banking and Wall Street crowd.
London was the
What's that
same
guy's
way.
name? Gary Kildall was his name, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I remember that guy.
yeah. That's okay. It's not like CPM was that great anyway.
Shut up.
Hey, I'm a
Don't.
Unix person. Don't even start with me. Because to me, if it's not like System 5 or early BSD, it's kind of not a real operating system. Sorry.
Yeah. I've been working with Unix since it was before System 5, significantly before System 5.
System 1.
No, system,
I'm just kidding. I don't even know if there was a System 1.
System
4.2.
BC.
4.2 was really what I was most familiar with.
Well, that's
But,
Berkeley.
Yeah, that's BS. Right.
That's Berkeley before the networking code.
Yeah, I can't remember that for sure, but I'll take
Nerd out.
Yeah, we're having a nerd moment. All right, moving right
Hey,
along.
I've actually talked to McCusick and people like that. I know a bunch of those people. But anyway,
Nerd.
But that's significant nerd cred to have talked to some of these people. You know,
yeah.
that's much more impressive than me talking with Steve Ballmer.
Well, not in terms of money, but yeah, McCusick is a good friend of a friend of mine, and I have met him. I've met Allman and a bunch of other people whose names I can't even remember. I never did meet Vince Cerf and that crowd.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, we're getting very, very niche here. What were we going to talk about, Skep?
Niche things in the ancient computer industry, but that's not important right now. I guess we can move away from that. But I just got to thinking about, I used to run by Kildall's old house. That was on one of my running routes through Pacific Grove when I lived up in La Mesa there in Monterey, just above PG. And I would run down the hill and run right past that corner, like a block over. Probably a block over whatever that big street is, the street that leads you to DLI from PG.
Oh yeah.
And he had no idea what was going on there at the time. It was 1979, and I was just, happy to be getting the hell out of the Navy.
If you could send yourself like a time traveling telegram, and just send yourself just a very short message, Skep, buy iOmega stock. Stop.
Sure. Yeah,
buy it now. Stop.
Yeah, right.
Yes, this is
Qualcomm.
future Skep. Stop. The amount of money that you could make if you had a time machine is just so ridiculous.
The problem is that anybody who is known to have luck in the system becomes part of the system, because it invariably their moves get reported to the cognoscenti in the financial world. And but if you moved very carefully, you really could. You could make an unbelievable amount of money, and I mean billions and billions and billions of dollars, and just salt it away in some Swiss grave account, that nobody could find, and you could become quietly one of the richest people on earth.
And
easily.
only use it for good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my own animals and launch them into orbit. Get my own space
There you go.
program. It'll be fine.
Well, that's what Bezos is doing. Doesn't he launch animals into orbit? I saw them cavorting around like a bunch of animals, slapping
On the
each other
Dick
back.
rocket? Yeah.
Yeah, on the dick rocket, the penis rocket.
Yeah.
God, hearing those people be called astronauts just pisses me off. There's just nothing infuriates me like that. That is a sad denigration of the word astronaut. It used to mean so much and means so much to me. And those people, some fat, overweight piece of shit who was in the right place, right time, made $1 billion and bought his way into space. That's not an astronaut.
Well, the charitable thing you could call them is passengers. The uncharitable
Yes.
thing you could call them is cargo.
Cargo, right.
Because, really, there's not much difference between a dog that you put in a crate and then stick on board an airplane, that flies in the pressurized hold, and the people that are flying on the dick rocket. You're just along for the ride. You're not doing anything. You're passive. So if you're in an aircraft of any type and you're completely passive, you are not a pilot, you are a passenger. And to be an astronaut, you kind of have to be a pilot.
Yep. And I've kind of been that way even about the mission specialists. If they're not flying the aircraft, they are a talented, intelligent person transported to space to do something, but nah, you got to be flying it to be an astronaut to me. So that's not reasonable, and I don't pretend it is. It's just based on hodgepodge of emotional logic. Feels like logic, but is actually emotion. It reflects my high regard for those
Crazy
guys.
bastards.
Just tell me how big of balls would you have to go to the moon in what they went to the moon in?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, just the rinky-dink little tin can.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely terrifying.
People get all misty about Apollo 11, and of course, it was huge. It was, one of a kind, and so forth. To me, the scary one was Apollo 8. First time ever, we're going to go orbit the moon. You up for that?
Yeah, what the fuck,
Yeah. Borman, Lovell, and Anders, I think.
Anders.
Yeah.
Borman, Lovell, and Anders. That's who it was.
Yeah.
And Bill Anders always sentenced to sit on the right. Anyway, yeah, he was that was where they took that famous picture of the Earth from the moon. Mm-hmm. Bill Anders took the picture, and
it was extraordinary.
Yeah,
because without that, there was going to be no landing on the moon. They had to go there, right around it, and come back to demonstrate that it could even be done. And
right.
And then
they did 10 orbits of the moon. They actually did 10 orbits, and it wasn't a free return kind of a deal. But it was a, they had a they fired that engine to come home, and Bill Anders said that was the first time on the flight that he relaxed a little bit.
Yeah,
because when he realized we're going home.
Yeah, our trajectory appears to be correct.
Well,
yay us,
The engine worked.
That's it.
Yeah,
we're not gonna sit up here till the orbit decays. And we
that orbit around the moon decaying would have taken a while too.
Yes, it would have. I think they would have opened the airlock.
One, yeah.
1, 2, 3, boys, let's go.
So I'm just looking at something. Gemini 7 was basically up for 2 weeks. Can you imagine being Lovell and Borman in a Gemini capsule for 2 freaking weeks?
You know what Jim Lovell called that?
I
He
can
says it was
imagine.
2 weeks in a men's room.
Yes.
God, that's not good.
Stank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stank to high heaven.
You're just gonna stab people at that point.
He said he was tired of that.
Yeah. That's about, they took him like right about to the psychological edge of the, if I'm ever in the same room with that guy again, I'm going to fucking kill him.
Mhm.
After that, I think I'd take the stairs instead of an elevator for a while.
Yeah. I'm just going on a spacewalk. Well, there isn't one planned for this mission. Well, there is now.
There is now, yeah. It's that or I'm shoving him out. You know?
Either I go willingly or you don't go willingly.
Yeah, one of us is getting out of the capsule for a while.
Yeah, if so help me God. If you hum Mockingbird Hill one more goddamn time.
Yeah. But the point being, these are astronauts, not 30 minutes up and back. A lovely little outing in an afternoon in Bezos's dick rocket. We're talking real danger, real inconvenience, real sort of pioneering spirit.
Tin can.
Well, you have Borman and Lovell in the same men's room. Those were the two guys in the men's room.
Yep.
Jim Lovell, nice as pie, easygoing, smart, just and radiates goodness. In fact, I'm going to embarrass you, Harry. He reminds me of you. His personality is not dissimilar to yours. He's just easygoing, nice guy. Frank Borman, on the other hand, is Attila the Borman. He became president of Eastern Airlines for a reason. This guy is kick-ass, take names, and you are going to do it my way, and I know everything. And he usually does too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very smart man, but he was an absolute
alpha dog.
He was an alpha male, for a fact. I think Jim Lovell probably should be nominated for sainthood. Good God, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I guess they
2 feet away from you. Oh my God.
They may have spent enough time in each other's company to get to that point where I think I can go 2 weeks without killing him. That kind of, how we become inured through exposure. It's, yes, I am now immune to Frank Borman. This ought to work just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't snapped yet, but there had to be some serious Zen stuff going on in Lovell's head, or he just is that.
No, he's just that good. He just is that good at managing that kind of stuff. And he's never said anything about that. But I just know their personalities, and I know that can't have been easy.
Well, it sometimes, there's that weird thing that you would think that people who would get along together like chalk and cheese actually, because their personalities are so different, rub together quite well. You
just never know how that'll be. But
it usually requires one of them to be highly accepting of a passive role.
Yeah.
Which Lovell
I would say
could do, a more passive role. I just, whatever you say, Frank.
Yeah.
I'm going to pretend I'm your long-suffering wife on this little journey.
Don't patronize me.
Well, it was all planned out, so it wasn't like, they were up there just sort of making decisions on the fly. Every minute of that was pretty much planned on the ground before they took off.
How would you like to be up there in Gemini 7, right? And little Gemini 6A comes up for its 1-day mission. It's a 25-hour mission.
16
Hi,
orbits.
guys. Okay, we're gone. Bye-bye.
Take me with you.
Remind me when we land to pee in your Cheerios. Here we go.
Yeah. That was, but that was just that was amazing. And I remember, I think I was in the 8th grade, and I saw the picture of those, of the nose of Gemini 6 looking at Gemini 7. The pictures taken from Gemini 6 looking at Borman and Lovell, and thinking to myself, if there's any way I can ever get out there and do that, that's all I want to do. I just want to go to space. Yeah, I was one of those kids. I was that kid. Just had so much admiration for these guys. And like I said, to go to the moon with what they had, they carried so much capability, so much more capability in their heads, between their ears, to do a lot of this stuff than the people who are selected for astronaut even now. Frankly, they had to. They didn't have computers that did what they do now.
If it hadn't been for the capabilities of a well-trained mathematician, Apollo 13 would have burned up in re-entry. Just recognizing the wrong calculations had been given to you.
Well,
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
met.
you're talking about the rocks thing?
Yeah, I'm just to go.
The weight differential.
This just
That's a problem.
doesn't. This doesn't sound right. Could you run those numbers again for me, please?
Well, I've known several modern astronauts. I've even worked with one of them that passed away in the second shuttle disaster, and so I know they are fairly remarkable people in at least one or more ways, right? But it's not the same as having the right stuff. Back when you were talking about you were more test pilot than astronaut, when this stuff really wasn't proven. I look at the number of Gemini missions that went up, and I almost wonder if they weren't being too cautious, because it seems like they really were just sort of sneaking up on a lunar flight, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't just get tempted just to kind of skip past some of the Gemini stuff, because it didn't really seem like there was that much going on in terms of development between some of the missions.
They had a Gemini mission planned to orbit the moon and come home.
Mm-hmm.
And it never got off the design phase, but that's the way they were thinking at the time. As I understand it, they had a set of objectives, things that they, proof of concept and, proof of equipment and proof of execution type of evaluations that they did on all the phases of going to the moon, basically. And they covered what they felt they had to cover in the Gemini program. But at the end of the Gemini program, there were actually people who wanted to extend the Gemini program for at least 2 and maybe 3 more flights. And they got outvoted because people were saying, no, we got to get to the moon, because they were really concerned that the Soviet Union was going to get there first.
Yeah.
And they did not want that.
Well, I'm looking at the progression. So Gemini 3 was the first 2-person flight, right? Gemini 4 was the first spacewalk. And so Gemini 3 was 5 hours, Gemini 4 was 4 days.
Yep.
So that's a pretty big jump, right?
Yep.
So then Gemini 5 was basically Gemini 4, but they just stayed up twice as long. I'm not really sure how that advanced the science necessarily, except it just sort of proved there wasn't some sort of mysterious radiation that killed people after 7 days. And then there was the 2 Geminis that docked, with the flying toilet that we talked about. Because it's almost like, well, just to torture you, we'll just leave you in space for 2 weeks. And then weirdly, Gemini 8 was only 11 hours long. Let's see, first docking between 2 spacecraft, unmanned.
That was the one that came home. That was Neil Armstrong, wasn't it?
Oh, they tested the emergency landing thing. That was Armstrong, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then Gemini 9A was first use of a backup crew, okay? And they used a rocket pack during a spacewalk. That's probably being a little generous. But it does seem like we could have skipped a few steps here and done Apollo sooner. I definitely wouldn't have stretched out Gemini any longer. It was time to get moving. Because like you said, the Ruskies were, they had a plan. And little did we know that they were really not that close to actually being able to pull it off. If anything, they were just going bankrupt trying to keep up with us.
Yeah,
We got a much better group of scientists out of Project Paperclip. And we also had the economy to actually pull it off, whereas they were still in the throes of our planned economy isn't working very well. Not that our current administration would understand that lesson.
No.
I wish we'd had Korolev.
You're talking about one of the Russian scientists who...
I'm talking about the head of their Russian space program who finally got their booster rockets to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a rocket man. He would have fit in well. But yeah, and he was the heart and soul of the Russian space program. I mean, that was and he was told that his life was on the line if that not the Proton, but the predecessor of the Proton, if that thing blew up one more time. And that was the successful launch. And the political officer looked at him in the blockhouse and said, "Well, comrade, what are your plans for your next mission?"
Putting a bullet in your fucking head. Poor guys.
Man, that was...
trapped in that system.
But,
well, they got a lot of really good people at the end of World War II. They got a lot of really good metallurgists and some of the really good engineers on rocket engines.
Yes.
So it's not like they didn't get their fill at the trough when they at the end of World War II of German scientists.
Oh, the United States?
No, the Russians as well. But we did just fine. We got von Braun and company.
Yeah, we did very well, thanks. Right? Yeah, golly, I remember that was about the time. Let's see, Ed White was on Gemini 4. That was the spacewalk one.
Yeah.
And I can tell you roughly. Let's see, when was that? That was on
1965.
65, and that was that summer.
June 3rd to June 7th.
Yeah, but it was September or October when I met him. It was about it was the last year we were at the Air Force Academy. I remember that. And just an amazing guy. We got to sit there and ask him questions, just Ed White and me, for 15 minutes while my dad left us in my dad's office to go see his General McDermott. A man who would go up and take a little insurance company and turn it into USAA as his retirement project.
It's the same McDermott?
That's the same McDermott.
I didn't realize. Okay.
Dad used to have lunch with him. And I don't think I ever met General McDermott, but we used to hear about it. He was my dad's direct report. My dad reported directly to him. So anyway, yeah, same one. And it was he also really pointed my dad toward computers and microprocessors, which Dad took to Vought Aerospace, and soon the A7 was produced. Computer style. Imagine designing an airplane using computers.
How
the
awesome.
very idea.
Well, virtual wind tunnels were used for a long time, in addition to the other computer design tools. But the industry for commercial aviation was really slow to fully accept it. It was really sort of a trust but verify kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was mostly just all of these tools and things made manufacturing easier. They made design easier. But everything was verified with actual models and then ultimately by flying something around.
Mm.
and they would commonly compare the virtual wind tunnel results to the actual wind tunnel results. And so the idea of just designing a plane more or less just by computer is kind of fairly new. I'm trying to remember if it was the 767 or the 787? Maybe it was the 777, but it was one of the later Boeing jets before it was really like completely done, using computers, computer wind tunnels, to sort of build that thing before they'd actually fly it. Because
Harry, what I'm talking about using computers for is to like take a square root.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Yes. The little computers.
You just look it up in a book. Get your CRC book out and look it up.
That's what I'm talking about.
I have a CRC book.
The same with sines and cosines.
Yeah. Well, they used to have a book of when you would need a random number. There was a book that was just they had methods for producing random numbers, and they had a book that was just random numbers. So you could just flip this thing open, turn to any page, and there would just be randomness. I need a source of randomness for my calculations. Well, just go get the big book of random stuff. And it had it was just a big, thick book full of random numbers. Because that's where random numbers came from the big book of random numbers. I can't remember the name of it, but it was it was a huge book. It was like the size of a massive, like an OED.
Big book. What?
Of course, we know that there's no such thing as perfect randomness, right?
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a random number.
Well, sort of. At macro scale,
math nerds sit and argue this stuff back and forth. But everything is part of a system, subsystem.
Yeah. Well, that's why they call them pseudo-random numbers.
Right.
When you're being technically
anal,
careful, rigorous. Thank you very much.
Another word for anal.
Hey, you should like it. It's a book. You like books. It's just a book full of numbers, that's all.
Yes. Yes, I like it very much.
There used to be all kinds of things like that to do finance calculations. There were books of computed numbers, just printed, computed coefficients for to use for depending on the number of payout periods in a future value calculation, or to get a net present value calculation. That was actually the way they trained us to do that at SMU in 1985, even though I had a TI business analyst calculator there, which I soon traded in for an HP because I like RPM.
It's like actuarial tables. It was very nice that somebody went to the trouble of putting those together, so people did not have to stop and do calculus. Every damn policy they wrote.
When I was a little kid, I used to have a strong prejudice against RPN because I was a little kid and I was dumb.
Oh.
It's like it's a sign of maturity when you go, oh, I guess it is kind of a waste of time keep hitting that equal sign. Damn it.
Exactly. Why do you have to hit the goddamn equal sign? Exactly. So
well, also it preps you for programming better to think in RPN.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It's much more programming. Much more programming.
For anybody who's still with us, which is probably like 3 people, instead of saying like 2 plus 2 equals
You're giving Serenity
something,
and I a lot of credit.
Equals something, equals 4. What you would do is you would basically, take 2, put it on a stack, then put another 2 on a stack, and then hit the operator, and it would just give you the result. So in a lot of ways, it was kind of like an adding machine sort of thing with the paper tape. It just made a weird kind of sense once you wrapped your brain around it.
Yeah.
But the fact that RPN stands for reverse Polish notation, I always thought that was kind of silly.
I used to know the story behind that, and I have forgotten that. It's lost to eternity. I wonder if I can find it really quickly.
I think you and Serenity should have a stream and call it the Virginians, actually. And the rule should be that you'll talk about anything you want except for stupid things that Skep and I likes to talk about. It could be like the antithesis of this show.
Okay, it is a mathematical notation in which operators follow their operands in contrast to Polish notation in which operators precede their operands. So that's what it is. It does not need any parenthesis as long as each operator has a fixed number of operands. The description in Polish refers to the nationality of logicians, Jan, not even gonna try it, who invented Polish notation in 1924. Case of WEDS or something like that.
That dude.
Yeah. The Polish guy. 3, 4 plus. Exactly. Reverse.
I've entered 34. I can't. But now what? Yeah.
34 plus what?
Well, the thing is, it's 3 enter, 4 enter plus.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah. Exactly. So, sorry.
But and for the people who want to know what the notation commonly used in arithmetical formula is, that's called infix notation.
Where would we be without Wikipedia?
Absolutely. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Actually, what I use Wikipedia for mostly is to remind me that something's true, or if something's general enough where, you can have a decent level of confidence on Wikipedia. But on political stuff, where there's a political aspect to it, I don't trust Wikipedia at all.
No.
And, in fact, there was a thing on Wikipedia I wanted to point out to you, and this was actually about the amazing and superior and intelligent and phenomenal, fantastic, amazing woman who is now the press secretary for the Biden thing. I think her name is John Pierre or something like that. And what's her first name? Karine, Karine. Yeah,
Karine.
Yeah, and interesting thing, and I think I'm going to share my screen to do this because I want you to see this. This is typical of Wikipedia, unfortunately. And do a little share here. Share the screen. The old fool share the screen, and go here to this, and we share this. Okay. Now we see that Karine was. We don't care anyway. It says that she has a Master of Public Administration right here from Columbia University. Pretty impressive. Master of Public Administration. That's like an MBA degree. Okay, it's like that's a real degree. It's not like a Master of Public Affairs really degree, which is essentially the sociology of bureaucracy and is basically a degree that is awarded to mentally deficient people. Well, when you come down here and we see, okay, well, let's look into early life. Okay, she obtained a BS from her busted pre-med at New York Institution of Technology that she almost flunked out of. And then she received her MPA from the School of International and Public Affairs at Columbia University. And this MPA says Master of Public Affairs. That's what her real master's is. But they were sloppy and they put the MPA that means Master of Public Administration up here. And I'm sure it's an innocent mistake. And they also left out the name of her college at Columbia University that has the word public affairs in it. So they might be trying to, I'm sure they want to get the
gild the lily.
So yeah, this isn't gilding the lily. This is lying to the public.
But she's already a lily, you see, because she's ticking all the boxes. So she is the sweetest lily of the field.
Absolutely.
The only thing she's not is
Sidney Poitier.
Handicapped, yes. And then that would be like trifecta.
Yeah.
But she with that actually would be quadfecta in that case, because she already is trifecta.
Did Poppy get an Oscar for Lilies of the
Lilies
Field?
of the Field? I don't know.
He did, didn't he?
I
Help us, chat. Help us.
I don't remember whether that was. I know. Ooh, I say I know he was nominated. What? Yay! Academy
He
Award.
won for Lilies of the Field Best Actor.
Thank
Okay,
you.
that's what it was. All right.
Yeah.
So he should have won it for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Did he have 2 nominations? Okay, I mean,
he was nominated for Lilies of the Field Academy Awards, won that. British Academy of Film. He was nominated for Lilies of the Field, did not win. He won the Golden Globe for Lilies of the Field.
Guess Who's Coming to Dinner was too controversial for him to win Best Actor.
Yeah.
Off of that, and he deserved it for that, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, how I do go on. It's 12:30. You guys have spent. 2
Yeah, he
hours
was nominated for the Defiant ones.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
And anyway, it's always fun to just have this conversation with you guys, and just wherever it goes. And this is the chill stream. It's just what it's turned into, and I sure appreciate you guys coming out and hanging with us, listening to us, looking stuff up for us, and making hilarious comments in chat. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and thank you to my friends here on the panel. Thank you for hanging with me tonight. We're going to call it a night, though, and we'll do it again next week. And come see us on Saturday night too, when Harry hosts. That's really a good show. It's loads of fun, and we would love to see you come out and be a part of that. But anyway, for tonight, for Tuesday night, the zoo is closed. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Still live.